Hi listeners, welcome to my channel. We have a full moon conjunct the great benefic Jupiter on 22nd of August, which is influencing us for the next 2 weeks, and it opposes Sun conjunct royal star Regulus. There is nothing that I don't like about this expansive illuminating full moon as long as we live the qualities of Aquarius, which is anarchy or dramatic change comes but through excellence and discipline of your craft. This is a full moon at an Arctic degree of a fixed sign, which means that a door to past is permanently closed and an initiation happens to a new version of you which hasn't existed before, as planet of change Uranus forms a positive aspect with Mars, the planet of action, asking us to take all we have within us and push through this initiation of the new you persistently. Venus in Libra forms an air trine with the other ruler of this full moon, Saturn, giving us assurance of long-term promise. This step holds in return to the persistence and the long-term commitment of the heart this requires. In Saturn and Aquarius, we create what we can hold on to in face of life's volatility. It's our moment to create that legacy. This is the second full moon in zodiac sign of Aquarius. We needed to go through this period of the last few days to rewrite our aspirations, our vision, and our way to reach the collective and form the tribe who goes with us on this path. Rewrite what's our legacy that we are all writing in Aquarius parts of our chart, as this year we start a new cycle of next 20 years of source of our tangible growth. This blue moon is not so blue, not so rare. We have been here before in January and February of 2015 when we had the new moon on these very degrees. But the eclipses of 2017 and 2018, and specifically the events of May of 2017, have brought fated changes to us, shifting our choices and changed our choices, which will be reflected in this full moon. We get a chance to end what we started in 2015 and move in a different direction in light of the events and eclipses of 2017 and 2018. Today we look at the impact on the collective of this full moon with sign-specific themes covered in your monthly readings, which I'll leave the link in the description for you to review and access. Let's begin. On 22nd of August at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, Sun in Leo will oppose Moon in Aquarius at 29 degrees 37 minutes, forming a full moon which influences us for the next 2 weeks. Now this happens at the critical degree, which is the last degree of a fixed sign. This kind of full moon, it brings closures and endings of events in life potentially that started in early 2015. This is the second full moon this year in zodiac sign of Aquarius, which is rare, but this one aligns with Jupiter, making this have the potential of growth and of justice. Sun at the moment of full moon is conjunct the royal star Regulus. We could hear news on leaders, royal families, kings, rulers, which affects the large population. As we transition this weekend from season of heart to season of mind, from season of passions to season of perfection, this is a perfect threshold to make a promise to yourself to follow through on your ideas that air trines bring up, supported by earth trines that help us persistently implement them. I don't know if any of you have had the benefit of acupuncture. I did. And apart from release of energy in specific block points in your body, one other thing that I've found it simply achieve is bring attention to an organ of your body by slight vibration of electricity. We vibrate a specific organ at a higher frequency and the attention and the blood flow goes to that part and that organ of the body, adding vitality to it. With this full moon, our mind is being vibrated at a higher frequency to bring attention to us what we might have forgotten so far, which is the strength of our own thinking, our mind, and of our resolve. The nerves that run through our body and network of people, they are activated, which can convey both optimism or pessimism, both strength of resolve or weakness of defeat. It's on us what we want our vibration to be, our mind to vibrate, all through our body and the network that we are connected to. So what's your vibration? It's a choice to be made, and we have a chance to choose positively, to vibrate differently in this echo chamber of the world that we are going to exist in. The key influence of this full moon is the beautiful conjunction with the planet of expansion and faith, which is Jupiter. This is one fortunate aspect, especially for personal dealings and happiness. It is a harmonizing influence on our inner life, on our private life, on our personal life, and it brings more knowledge about our own self, our inner life, our home affairs, and our emotional habits. We can channel and use that knowledge for healthier outcomes. We can use this influence for personal changes, for reforms, for restructuring our life in light of the information and insights it brings. This can specifically be favorable to women or bring positive insights through women to you. It also is a very fortunate aspect for business that requires you to put yourself out there, because it can bring fortunate outcomes in our dealings with large groups, provided we bring honesty to the table. After a very volatile period, these 2 weeks of influence of this full moon can bring some comfort of good feelings and even generosity towards the collective. This aspect makes us a mirror of another's feeling. We reflect and expand in volumes our own reactions and inner feelings. Kindness and friendship is met with same sentiment but in much higher magnitude. Seek insights and you will see clear writing on the wall. This connects groups and collectives on a deep intuitive level, which creates greater chance of influences to spread and affect a much larger set of population. Use it wisely by choosing the right energy to put out there. Put out there what you want yourself to receive, grown by many, many magnitudes. World under this influence becomes an echo chamber of our own mind. We'll hear the echoes of our own sentiments, of what we are putting out in terms of vibration back in our life, grown by many magnitudes. Uranus, the ruler of this full moon, is turning retrograde at 14°48' of Taurus, where we need to show strength of character in face of sudden changes it brings to the collective and to the fixed parts of our life. Last year, I had mentioned when we first spoke of the Saturn square Uranus transit in May of 2020, when I had talked about the preview that was being shown, and I had mentioned that in 2021, we're going to see people push themselves out of their stagnant career and life situations under Saturn square Uranus influence in 2021. And this year has been the year and is the year of resignations and big life changes that we are witnessing en masse. Now I'm telling you, for next year, with Jupiter Neptune conjunct, everything you create to serve the collective selflessly from your soul is to grow through leaps, as the collective service will become more important for growth than anything else as we transition to 2022. We coexist and are interdependent in ways which are not visible to us, in ways that a person living in another corner of the world, living fully to his or her potential, can simply inspire another person who's living miles away with nothing in common or without ever even seeing each other or meeting each other in person. Aquarius full moon impels us to put in the effort to bring our uniqueness to others and to not retain it as a personal property or privilege of the few. Some say art is cheapened by mass broadcasting it over the internet, or some think same for astrology to some extent, putting it over the internet, it makes it cheap. Those some won't survive the age we are going into. It's the age of the collective, where the messaging and the gifts you have, it has to be made available to the collective and not be retained and held back. The last degree of Aquarius is represented as the field of ardith in bloom. I think this is an important concept to understand because we are transitioning away from one authority, one corporation, one organization having a hold over large number of livelihoods as we transition to Pluto in Aquarius. And that model, that transition that we need to make, that only works if we individually go through this process of actualization and excellence, which comes as an impact from this degree, from this full moon, as well as from Saturn and Jupiter both together taking us through the ringer this year on this journey of self-excellence in service to the collective. Because in Aquarius, anarchy and discipline, they go together. They're ruled by both Uranus and Saturn. You cannot have a new world on your terms without the discipline required to be put in, without the work required to get it. This degree comes after the degree of metamorphosis. 29 degree of Aquarius is the degree of metamorphosis, which implies to nothing short of a complete renewal of all parts of an individual's life. It points to the point where radical change is needed and had. And this change is very individual. It is mental, even though it happens over the background of a collective shift. And the last degree of fixed signs point to doors which need to be permanently closed of our mind. There is a part of a thinking pattern, and a part of our own active conscious mind that needs to be permanently closed. This degree of metamorphosis points to potential ability each one of us holds to participate in higher realm of evolution after emergence from a critical stage of transition. It is represented as a butterfly emerging from a chrysalis in Sambian symbols. Spiritually, it's an initiation of us entering a higher realm of conscious existence. After an individual has gone through their own unique process to reach that higher consciousness, which would involve closing some doors permanently and recognizing the potential we each hold to contribute to the future, we are now creating from this higher consciousness. After each one of us has gone through that moment, which is not easy, we reach the stage of the field of ardith in bloom. A united soul, a spiritual whole shining as a single area of radiant light. That will be the collective. It may not look united, it doesn't need to be united, but having each one of us gone through that process that we have been and we are going through in 2021, there's a thread of life's process that now connects all of us. And this is scene 22 of Sambian symbol, which points to mastery, which each one of us need to get. Each one of us need to be a 10 and not a 3 or a 4 or a 8 in whatever we are to be in that united mass, having been through this process of self-excellence. Each one of us comes with our unique dance to the world, and we need to perfect that dance. But if we each decide to be all we can be, we shine as a unified whole. But sometimes as a collective, we need to go through a collective crisis to get there. As much as the recent events have made us feel otherwise, universe is an inherently friendly place, especially to those who come with an expectation of kindness. Nature comes with an intention to be kind, to be fruitful, and there's a thread of continuity that runs between human and nature, which inherently does endow us to be of service. Now, with an expectation of a friendly universe comes the natural instinct to also help others because we enjoy it. And this becomes a circle of life, as nature is more likely to endow us with more as we contribute more to the collective. This degree at which this full moon is happening, which is represented as the field of ardent and bloom, is the degree of self-illumination through exceptional service to others. Let's look at the history of this full moon to understand in your personal context and your personal chart what can you expect. While having two full moons in the same sign in a month is once in a blue moon event, literally it's a blue moon, but we have been here before and on these very degrees in 2015 with an initiation where a conclusion is possibly now to be had. Those very same full moons happened in form of new moon on 20th of January and 18th of February 2015. What started for you back then? Look back at that time, and if it was something very significant which happened in your life, and that could be if these degrees are making a aspect to your chart, you will see a conclusion on it. We have been through the eclipses in Aquarius and Leo since then in 2017 and 2018. And specifically this degree, the last degree of Aquarius, it was activated by the nodes on May of 2017. So we have been through a period of fated changes post those new moons which happened in January and February of 2015. As I mentioned in the last Aquarius full moon discussion, node transits which happened in 2017 and 18, they start a long-term theme which are fated, and these lunar events are time for those changes to be acted on. So we will be acting on the themes of 2017-2018 eclipses, but look at specific events of January and February of 2015. As you would see, specifics of 2015 now show up, but with closures, conclusions, possibly of what started in 2015, considering the fated shifts you saw within yourself in 2017 and 18. Because the 2017 and 2018 eclipses have changed your outlook, and with that you're bringing some things permanently to closure in Aquarius part of your charts now. Looking at this timeline with the global events, now these timelines bring to focus 2015 Iran nuclear agreement, for example, in which US and the other world powers, they agreed to remove sanctions on Iran in exchange for limit on nuclear power in 2015. In 2018, US pulled out of the deal. Another deal was 2015 climate agreement. Affordable Cares Act was also signed in 2015, which I believe was attempted to be changed in 2017. So agreements like that, because this is about associations, this is about the common thread that runs across countries, those kind of global agreements which were formed in 2015, which were shifted under the 2017-18 eclipses, now they would come to focus again, especially in US, as this full moon falls in close orb of moon of United States of America. This also falls on the south node of Biden, making this a lunar eclipse for him, which brings some faded information to light. And because Jupiter is conjunct this full moon, usually that information is for larger good, may not be for that person, but for the larger collective. It is a just thing for that light, for that information to come out. Jupiter conjunct somebody's south node, which will be for Biden, it brings karmic justice of some sort. So if anything is owed to him from the past, it's returned, while if something is withheld by him, which he needs to pay for, that's also brought to light and justice. It's pretty easy to look back to events of specific people of 2015, linked to people of significance, and see how they might be brought to justice on that right now. I have no political affiliations and I'm not an American citizen or American voter. I'm just telling you how to connect the dots for yourself, for any person, any country that you might be looking at in terms of progressiveness, what's going to happen with this full moon. I mentioned before that the May Sagittarius lunar eclipse. We discussed this in May when the Sagittarius lunar eclipse was happening, that it will come for activation on 6th of September. For your own personal charts also, look at that, because after this full moon, which will be in influence till 6th of September, we will see the activation of that eclipse with some fated events coming to pass around 6th of September. And in terms of global events, that eclipse, that lunar eclipse of Sagittarius, it fell on both ascendant of Biden and US. So it will bring a significant faded even in the first 10 days of September for United States in my view. You can revisit the Sagittarius eclipse for the collective and personal zodiac for the first few days of September. I'll leave the link in the description. All transcripts are always linked in the description box of the videos. So if you don't want to see the video, you prefer to read, you can just click on the transcript in the description. This full moon also falls on the son of Prince Andrew, and he was first named in lawsuit in January 2015. Jupiter is the planet of not just growth but also law and justice. This full moon falls on his sun opposite Pluto. Well, some people do not come out as butterfly from chrysalis, they come out as something else. So this coming out of chrysalis is not essentially butterfly for everybody. It depends on the natal aspects, which is made to the 29-degree Aquarius, which is where the full moon is happening. Of course, personal deeds also determine how the outcome is. Aquarius is ruled by Saturn. Karma is served no matter Pluto's manipulation of Jupiter's justice, which is shown by his chart. If you consider Italian unification to be the birth of Italy, this could be very significant for Italy, this full moon and its president. We saw resignation of Italian president in 2015, but this is a chance for Draghi to have a different chapter of Italy and its role in EU. This is also significant for Brazil and Bolsonaro because it's falling on the ascendant and moon respectively of Brazil and Bolsonaro. 2015 was the first major wildfire with El Nino weather event which destroyed areas of Amazon in Brazil. So I'm hoping this would change or bring a step in that direction to bring closure to that in some ways. You can similarly draw parallels to events in your respective countries with the timeline of an event which started in January or February of 2015, and then a fated shift came out in 2017-18, specifically May of 2017, and now you'll see a shift in that. I'll close the reading by summarizing the global and personal themes that this full moon will bring out, because this is not our first rodeo. We have covered the broad themes of Aquarius full moon in the July full moon reading as well. But just as a quick recap, we normally see innovation, idealism, social equality, liberty reforms being championed under an Aquarius full moon, scientific space, digital discoveries, strikes, protests, political changes, the pleasure industry, entertainment industry, high finance, risky investments, political powers of the rich countries or benefit of the few needs to be balanced with what the collective well-being needs, or with the humanitarian causes, with the environmentalists and the innovators. At personal level, we have to move from focus on the individual colors we bring to the table to see if there is a socially available version of us and our talents that can be consumed by others who can benefit from it. Also, that we are rewarded for what we seemingly create in our individual madness or brilliance. So social platforms, networks, influential leaders, rewards, gains, legacy, they all come to focus. Mind is a very powerful tool, and it becomes very evident with this full moon. Ruling the networks, the electricity that runs through our nerves and nerves of society, Aquarius full moons are very stimulative. So you need to take care of your nerves, and it can be very inspiring, very imaginative, but it can be used negatively, which can be radicalized to create an anxious moment instead of creating a constructive change. Though with Jupiter, it normally creates a constructive change. Great works of the mind can be created under its influence, dealing with tangible creativity, great ideas, epiphanies. They arrive which should be put to work. It's the time of the underdog. It's the time for freedom of expression. internet, computers, digital world, it's all ruled by Aquarius, as is astrology, astronomy, space exploration. And it's time to bring out whatever we have been working on for the past 6 months to the collective over the course of next 2 weeks. So that's what I have for you. I'll see you in the next video now. Thank you.